Johnny, welcome to the show. Thank you so
Hello.
much for making time for this. I have to say, I almost wanted to put a paper bag over my head before I did this because I don't know if I'm going to be able to handle how gross I look being on the same screen as you.
No, I look like a crusty emo. I mean, this is not going to hold up in like 10 years, so don't even worry. Imagine me with this hair in 10 years. I mean, I've already kept it going for about 10 years in my life. So
I would pay the price to be that beautiful for even a day. I would sell my soul for the rest of eternity.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I've been like binging the podcast for a long time and always watching your YouTube videos. So it's quite the honor. So thank you very much.
It. Well, on that note, I do have to ask, it's kind of interesting. You tweeted a while ago, something like, I look like a 2005 emo album cover or something.
Oh, yeah.
Which is interesting because you're actually a little bit too young to have kind of been part of that when it was around. So why do you look like a 2005 emo album cover?
You know what the crazy thing is I'm blonde naturally. So this whole look is the complete opposite of what I was naturally given. I don't know, honestly. I never had a MySpace. I missed out on that wave. And I guess I just got in late and I just kept going with it. And I found a style that I felt comfortable with. And that's really as simple as that. But
what was your entry point into this whole like aesthetic and era and stuff?
Well, when I was younger, my sister made me like a CD with a bunch of random bands on it. And one of the bands was like AFI and then, early Panic! The Disco stuff. So that kind of introduced me to this world. And then throughout that, I started listening to bands that were more in the MySpace scene, like Never Shout Never and the Ready Set and Metro Station and all that stuff. And that really became something I just really enjoyed. So I saw their cool hair and their piercings and I was like, that's cool. I'm going to go for that. And it did not instantly work out, but eventually I kind of figured out what works for me. So,
well, that corner of like the Never Shout Never, Ready Set, Steven Jerzak kind of thing.
Perfect.
People don't ever talk about that, but it was like, that was a big deal at the time.
Yeah. I mean, especially Never Shout Never. I mean, he pioneered like so many people to pick up an acoustic guitar, ukulele, even before like 21 Pilots and all that stuff. He was the guy that play ukulele. You're picking it up probably because of him. I mean,
100%.
Maybe Hello Goodbye as well. They played ukulele as well. But yeah, that whole MySpace world, guys with cool hair and some tattoos going on,
Have you seen what he's up to lately?
Yes.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah. I just wish him the best. That's all I could. I mean, I'm just someone that wants the best for anyone. And I think he's obviously struggled with his mental health and drugs and all that. And I just want anybody that's struggling with that to get better. So, only good vibes for him and stuff. And
I've interviewed him. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, no, you're all good. You're all good.
I've interviewed him twice. And
really?
Yeah, he's at the time, like first time was in 2010, maybe something like that.
Oh.
And he was like really smart and on it and incredibly talented.
Yeah.
Like just people don't understand what a ridiculously fucking talented songwriter he is. Like he can write something amazing in like 15 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just raw talent. I mean, he was mostly known for just playing straight up acoustic. So that's like as easy as that seems to some people, it's kind of hardest. So yeah, it's so raw that it's very difficult in a lot of ways. So
yeah. And
I could talk about Never Shall Never all day.
Well, it is. I had no idea. I hadn't looked him up in a while, and I did, and I'm not like trying to.
No, it's totally understandable.
Guy, but it's like he literally looks like a crackhead now, like a homeless crackhead. It's rough.
I mean, yeah, he struggled. I've heard some rough things, but yeah, that's I just wish him the best. So
I do too. I do too. I liked him a lot when I interviewed him, and it was interesting because like he very clearly did not want anything to do with like, the 8th grade girls that kind of latched onto his music and stuff. He was not into that one bit.
Yeah. I mean, I totally understand that to an extent because there's been moments with me doing this ever since I kind of started YouTube when I was like 15 or so, on the channel that I currently have and stuff. And that's all I wanted at first was just to be kind of like the cutesy, like fucking long haired guy. But there was moments where I was like, these videos are dumb or whatever. And I kind of started resenting what actually got me to where I am and stuff. And throughout time, I realized that's kind of silly though. You can be more than one thing. And really quick, before we go any further, have you checked out my Patreon?
Patrons get early access to all my main channel videos and my podcasts. I also do giveaways sometimes. For example, I just gave away a pair of these Eargasm earplugs. And if you want me to review your music, there's a way to do that as well. All you gotta do is join at the $10 and up level. Then every month I do a call for submissions. If you want me to review something, all you gotta do is drop it in the comments of that post. Then I will review it live on Twitch and post it on Patreon for everyone to see. So if that sounds cool, hit the link in the description of this video, and I appreciate your support. You can, but at the same time, you know, people do kind of want you to stay the same as whatever you were when they discovered you.
Absolutely. I mean, that's why nostalgia or like listening to older music that you grew up with or video games or whatever hits harder than playing the new stuff or a lot of the times because you have that nostalgia factor. So.
Well, you said you started, what, 10 years ago or something like that. I didn't see your stuff. I guess I saw your videos a couple years ago, maybe.
Yeah.
How did you get started on all this?
It's quite a journey.
Take us on the journey.
Yeah. I mean, originally I started like anyone else. Like I was probably 12 or something. And I started making like skit videos. Like, you know, Ryan Higa from Niga Higa was doing that. And a lot of other YouTubers. So I was like or Fred, I was trying to do my own variation of that on this very old channel that I had that I eventually deleted. And then eventually I was, you know, doing this website called YouNow, which was like a live streaming website before Twitch. And I kind of grew an audience on there at like 14 or so. And then I randomly was, you know, I was a fan of Bryan Stars and D Fizzy, who's another YouTuber like OG. And I went to his second tour, which had like Ghost Town and Catching Your Clouds and Joel Favier, which you know, but yeah, I went there and I met him, and he instantly, me as a 15-year-old was like, oh, I can monetize this guy to an extent, because I was trying to look like Never Shout Never back then.
Right.
And yeah, and I was
so
like,
you had somewhat of a start on YouTube first.
Yeah, I mean, mostly on YouNow, because by that point, I mean, I was really just, I guess like I had like a really small channel that would get like maybe 2,000 viewers or something. It was, you know, just kind of throwing it together on my phone. But yeah.
And then Brian smelled fresh meat.
Yeah, supposedly. I mean, apparently, yeah, I've talked to my now friend D Fizzy and stuff, Damon, and yeah, instantly he like saw that it was marketable. And for me, I was like a lost kid in my life. You know, I went through my dad passing away when I was really young, and I didn't really do well in school. I had dyslexia and I just didn't vibe with it. I was very troubled. And yeah, so I just wanted to be like those people that did music or YouTube, and that was kind of it. I to an extent I thought about like making a living off of it, but I was so young that I didn't really fully think of that part yet. But yeah, I mean, he saw that, we met at his show, and instantly like I kind of wiggled my way into like doing merch for him, which I didn't even know how to count or anything. So it didn't make any sense. And somehow and my mom was super supportive and was like, you know, just like trusting and stuff, and let me go and do that, because I was just going through a lot of mental health problems. And that just seemed like the right answer. And you know, I give him credit. I mean, without him, I wouldn't have gotten to where I am and stuff. So there is positives to it.
You're pretty I guess, I don't know if complimentary of Brian is the word, because you're not,
no,
you know, not, but like,
but I give him credit where it's due.
Yeah. You don't just hate on him.
No, I mean, I gave him, we had a huge falling out when we started doing the collab channel stuff. And it was because he, you know, started managing every single person on that channel, plus anyone that was in the like, YouTuber emo scene.
Right.
And it just became really businessy, and that kind of made things complicated as like somebody that's trying to be an influencer themselves and manager and all that stuff. And it really made us butt heads, especially when we eventually did our collab channel, My Digital Escape. And we did a tour for that was doing really well. And it was a full bus tour. And it was like, okay, man, like even as an 18-year-old kid, which I was on that tour, I was like, you got to kind of pick, man, you're making everyone really stressed, and it's just feels kind of wrong, honestly. Like, I don't know. So, but I mean, without him, yeah, I mean, he was very smart in some ways, but I think some ways like things did not age well, like a lot of his interviews included. Yeah. So, you know,
it's crazy. Like that's the time when I realized how important YouTube was, because I didn't really pay that much attention to YouTube before that, because it was a lot of just like, you know, stupid cat videos or skits for
challenge
children.
Videos.
Yeah, and like not to put any of that stuff down, but it's like I was an adult and I'm like this. I don't care about this. But
Absolutely.
then I went to Warped Tour. I think it was 2015, maybe.
Mhm.
And the lines for like the YouTubers, especially Bryan, were longer than the lines for any band. And I was like, holy shit.
Yeah. Well, that's an interesting time. So on that tour, I was initially supposed to be the merch guy, but since I was hanging out with them and kind of starting my YouTube channel up, I kind of started getting recognized too much to even be doing that. Just to be realistic with it. And I was only 17 on that tour, maybe 16, the first one I did. And then I eventually did a second one with them. But those lines were ridiculous. And honestly, it was really hard to even fathom what was going on because it just kind of was my normal growing up life at that point. But I mean, yeah, back then, like the bands hated us because they were like, I
was going to ask. Yeah, because there might be like literally 200 people in line for you guys.
Oh, no, it was even more than that, dude. It was ridiculous, honestly.
Like a line around
it never ended, which was
and there's 20 people in line for a band.
Yeah, it really didn't end, which was weird because I mean I've seen Jeffree Star at Warped Tour and I would say Jeffree had like the longest line that I could remember. It was up there for sure, and I don't think it was mostly because of me or anything. I think it was definitely because of Bryan at the time and Damon and stuff. They were very in that world, but yeah, it just for me it was normal though, and I didn't really think about it. I didn't think about being around all these bands. I didn't, but a lot of the bands did have a problem with it. I remember like bands would tweet about it, and I don't want to say anybody's names because it doesn't really matter, and I don't want to put anyone down. But it was relevant, and I don't really blame them completely. I think it was just hard to grasp. But throughout time, I think some people did like mess with it and stuff and appreciated it. And we were trying to film the whole event and cover it and try to, I don't know, do the social media aspect of it. But
I mean, you guys really were ahead of the game though. You see a couple years after that, there's all these influencer houses and people investing in them and blah, blah, blah. Like, and it worked. And maybe there was somebody doing it before you guys. I don't know, but that was the first example of it that I saw.
Yeah. There was one other channel that was more in the mainstream world that was called Our Second Life. They were like one of the early like collab channels. There was a couple smaller ones, but they were like the main one. But My Digital Escape like only lasted a year and a half or so.
Right.
And in that time, it did really well. It almost hit 1 million subscribers, but then it all collapsed and stuff.
Back when 1 million subscribers was an even bigger number. Than now. I mean, it's still a lot, but back then it was a huge number.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think the content that made it like big on that channel though, definitely looking back at it now is like, oh my God, like, and not even all the videos are up anymore. Because I deleted all my videos eventually, and my ex did as well, Alex, and our friend Shannon actually did as well. So 3 people deleted all their videos off that channel, but there was some definitely like out of pocket. As a if I was Bryan, I would not have encouraged it, I guess, but.
Yeah, that's what I remember seeing at the time. I was like, this feels like I shouldn't, like I didn't watch that stuff because I was like, this feels like I shouldn't be looking at this.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, that's back in the day, YouTube was overly sexualized and stuff. That was kind of what got views. There was like the someone's getting naked challenge and stuff like that. It's like ridiculous, really out of pocket stuff. And that's, we kind of just rode that wave, but the weird thing about it is that, at the time I was like 17 or 18 and then, Bryan was 25 or so, maybe even older. So I don't know. I wouldn't have been even hanging out with those people at that age, I guess. Now that me currently I'm like 25, so I can totally see that perspective. And I'm like, that is just not something I'd be comfortable with. So
like, could you imagine at your age, even being in the same room as like, a 16-year-old alone? You're like, hell no.
Not, I mean, if it's like my friend's like little sister with us, then it's like whatever, but I'm not like gonna like, be alone with somebody that's like a minor. It's fucking weird. So
let alone have them live with you.
Yeah. Like
I'm curious, and I'm not trying to be critical of anybody because I understand,
this is the questions people want answers for. I got you.
Yeah. But I'm curious what the parents were thinking about all this.
Well, interesting. So like I said, my dad passed away. My mom was the only one in my life at that point. And I was very going through mental problems, like 5150 and stuff. And I was just not well. And I would go to therapy and stuff like that. And this was like something I really wanted to do. I wanted to be like these artists and YouTubers. And back then, as silly as it sounds, people, I guess, were just more trusting. Like there was not, the blood on the dance floor, stuff like that. Like it didn't really come out that people were creepy as much. Like I'm sure there were cases, but it wasn't to the level that it is now. So my mom saw this opportunity like I did, and we were like, okay, like this guy's going to help me become a YouTuber. Like he seems nice. He's, she met him as well and stuff. And I moved in with him to Nebraska for like a year. But the interesting part about his side of the family is that his family didn't even know I lived with him for the year and a half or so. Like I remember the first time I met his family was on Warped Tour after already living with them for like a year and a half or so. And my friend Damon was like, wait, they don't know who you are? And I was like, oh no, no, he hides that I live with them. Like I literally, when I lived there, I hid in his apartment, like pretty much. And we would go to Walmart and that was it. Yeah. And I didn't think anything of it.
Fucking sketchy.
Yeah, for sure. And I slept on his couch for like, he had like a loft. So it was like the upstairs, no doors, but like the upstairs. And then like, that's where he slept. And then I had the couch that I would sleep on. And now looking back at it, it was like, oh my God, that's weird. And, there's a lot more weirder stuff. Like, I mean, he would like force me alcohol, like be like, oh, you got to be able to keep up with the band. So he would hand me alcohol and stuff. And now I'm like, oh my God, that's weird.
Yeah.
And I was the first like test dummy for his management. Like he instantly, when I started making money, wanted to take, I think it was 20% of everything I made. It was a 360 deal. So yeah. And that lasted.
I remember he had that whole like tearful apology video kind of thing, which was sort of like the beginning of the end for him, as I recall.
Yeah, that apology, he made 2 videos. So he took down he like posted one. It wasn't good enough, I guess. He took it down and then an hour later or so uploaded another one. And now that I pissed him off enough, I guess, like he took both of them down and they're just not even up anymore, which is fair. But
well, I want to move on from Bryan
Sure.
because I want to talk about Johnny, not Bryan. But
fair.
I do have one question. I don't know if you can answer this one. So my favorite thing about Bryan is when he made fun of you, called you Mr. 6 inches.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Implying that a 6-inch dong is small.
Correct.
My question is, how big is Bryan Stars' dong? Like, is he packing 11 inches or something that to him 6 inches
at least
is laughable?
Yeah, he has to be. I'm sure like whatever he has probably like doesn't have a blood flow, to be honest, with how big it sounds.
He's got like a baby arm or something.
Yeah. I mean, he's a tall guy, so it's either really small or it's massive. So definitely above 6 inches though.
If you had to guess, I feel like it's going to go one way or the other. Either it's like this, like a needle.
Sure.
Like,
hey, it's all about the length.
Yeah. Is it like a 1/4 of an inch wide and a foot long, or is it a tuna can? Which would you guess?
A tuna can. Unfortunately, I think it's pretty foul, but I would say a tuna can. Unfortunately, I don't know. He's got that little dick energy, so I don't know how else to put it.
4 inches wide.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not. I'm only assuming though. I'm luckily I've never seen that, but I did pants him once when I was younger. I did pants him when I was younger once at Warped Tour. I'm not gonna lie, but I was, a child.
That must have been the best day of his life.
No, he was very mad at me. I remember he like chased me. He was not happy about that. It was kind of a dick thing for me to do, but I was young, so I was like trying to be a dick, I guess. But
mission accomplished. Well, okay.
Yeah.
So you stopped doing that in what, 2017 or something like that?
For the collab channel, I stopped doing that. Yeah, I guess something like that. It's been years. It still gets thrown in my face, but yeah, it's been years for sure.
And you had a chance to kind of, do something else through your life or keep doing, social media stuff. What was next for you?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I just kind of kept at what I was doing. I mean, during that time, like there was a period where I kind of took a break because I went through like a really long relationship and then it ended and my mental health wasn't very well. So for a whole year or so, I was really kind of like off the grid a little bit and kind of messed up, I guess, going through my own mental health problems. But after that, I kind of like still kept at what I was doing though. And nowadays I've just moved back to LA and I've been doing a lot of new music with some friends and kind of getting that going and trying to get back into the YouTube game because the YouTube situation has changed so much. I mean, what people watch nowadays is not really personality based, but more so like commentary or stuff like that. You have to really be smart with it. So I've been trying to like kind of get with it so I don't have to get without it. And just kind of keeping up with the music stuff and really trying to hopefully eventually get a good opportunity with that and just keep it going. So
how much do you sort of, I guess, want to do music versus YouTube, or do you think of those things separately, or tell me about that?
I used to be like, I feel like I have to do one because other people won't take me serious or something, but it's never been something I wanted to do where I like separated it. Cause I've always enjoyed vlogging, especially if I was to go on tour or something. I really like to have those memories. And I think I enjoy watching other people's videos like that. So for me, I've never really wanted to not do one or the other, but I would love to get an opportunity with my music and grow that and have more support, maybe with like a label or something someday. That would be fantastic. If there's somebody that's, cool. So
it's interesting to me that people like don't take quote unquote YouTuber music serious. People in the industry, I think, especially, it's like, oh, well, he's not a real musician. He's a YouTuber. And like,
sure.
I don't understand. He makes music. How is he not a musician?
It's the same thing that happened with MySpace artists, though. Like they started on MySpace and a lot of those people really proved that their music is legitimate. And there's a lot of YouTubers that, I get why people would feel that way or whatever, especially back in the day. But a lot of people have proven them wrong, like Patty from As It Is, or even Justin Bieber started on YouTube, if you want to consider that. And the great Bryan Stars started on YouTube. No, I'm just kidding.
And but, of course, your boy Jake Paul.
Yeah,
Everyday bro with the Disney Channel flow.
Absolutely. A freaking classic, honestly. The numbers don't lie. But I mean, TikTok is the same way as well. Like, I mean, people don't take it super seriously, but a lot of artists that are getting the number one hits right now are coming from that platform. Maybe they're not keeping the fan base, but they are getting hits, and that's undeniable. So I don't know. I think it's just a platform to put your stuff out there, especially when you don't have a team. And what else are you supposed to do?
Right. Exactly. What are you supposed to do? Go play bar shows to 6 people?
It's and then you lose money. Like, you know what I mean? And like, that's as somebody that already is like not financially to the point you want to be at, like, because you have to record your music and stuff, and that's not cheap. Playing bar shows and losing money is not ideal. So
I feel like that stuff's just a lot of people who don't understand social media and don't want to put in the work. Hating on people who are successful on social media.
I mean,
learning from them.
It's like anything that's going to happen, though. I mean, like with making content in general or being online or anything like that, you're going to get criticism, unfortunately, and it is a never ending cycle. So you got to kind of just continue, honestly, if it's something that you really want, whether it's YouTube videos or music or touring or anything, you just got to continue. Even if it like beats you down sometimes, you just got to get back on the horse. So
I definitely get beat down by it sometimes. Do you?
I mean, it depends on who you're talking to. There's definitely like a handful of people that don't mess with me that just, I don't know if they do sometimes like me and they just want to talk shit because that's how I respond, or they don't like me in general, which is fair. I can understand why they wouldn't. But I don't know. I think it's really kind of ridiculous most of the time though, because I watch like when there's like people like butting heads with people, especially like I'll name drop like Ronnie Racky's always going off on Twitter at someone. I watch all that. Of course, it's very entertaining. But I don't understand the back and forth completely, like getting into it. Like I don't really try to do that too much. Or if I do, I like try to be respectful about it. And sometimes these people just don't care. They just want to be entertained. So I think that's what's probably happening most of the time. So
but when you hear it, 100 times a day for months and months and months, it's like, all right, I get it. I suck.
I think I honestly had it way worse when I was coming up on the YouTube thing, but I think now that I've been around long enough, I guess, like it definitely has kind of calmed down. I wouldn't say it's gone or anything, but definitely calmed down. Because at first I was a young like kid that was hanging out with somebody like, and then they saw Brian like become emo, and then it's like, oh, is that Johnny's fault? And I'm like, no, that's not my fault. I told him to do the opposite. I said,
take no responsibility for that haircut.
Yeah, I was like, if you want to do it, you want to do it, but stick with the curly hair. That's what makes you cool. But people like thought that was because of me and stuff. And I remember like, just growing up, like being an alternative kid. It was just an easy target. I mean, one of my first videos that really went viral was me crying at like 17 about like losing my dad and stuff. And it got like in a day or so, got like 1 million views or something.
Oh,
and
wow.
people were like, yeah, but since that was so vulnerable and stuff, people would just like go at you in the worst ways. And yeah, so that
Emo
kind of
fag crying about losing his dad.
pretty much, yeah, like just anything that you could think of. So it kind of was a good pushing yourself out there and being like, this is how messed up it can get in a way. So
Right.
yeah.
Well, I like how your Omegle content is some of my favorite stuff,
yeah.
where you just kind of really lean into that.
Yeah, I need to do more of that. I don't know. It's weird. I'm very like antisocial and stuff. So when I go into the Omegle world, it's very tough. It's like going out in public still. It's like it's tough, but I really enjoy it. And with that type of content, when I do it, I just kind of like to exist and then watch people just commentate on my existence. Because apparently in the year 2023, it's still so hard to fathom somebody having long hair and piercings or eyeshadow. But on Omegle, you connect with anybody from the world. So, I mean, maybe it's not as common in certain areas or it died out completely. I don't understand, but I just like to exist and see how people will respond to it. So,
I feel like it goes either one of two ways.
yeah.
You'll get a dude that's like, wow, bro, you're like really good looking. I just gotta say, like, I'm going to go, but you're really good looking.
Yeah.
Or they really want to go in on you.
Yeah. And I prefer like, I mean, honestly, any of those responses are great. I'm happy with those. And people will ask me like, why do you go on there? I'm like, to literally get trolled because
That's great.
I enjoy watching that content. I enjoy seeing what humans have to say about others, especially when it's so stupid. So I like doing
How
those.
many tries do you have to go through usually before you get something good?
It's very hit or miss, you know, but I usually, when I do those videos, for a while I was like live streaming it, but I think now I'm just going to kind of film them individually when I do them again. I probably film for like an hour or two, you know, of just
To
clicking
get like
through.
a handful of good ones.
Yeah, because I really want them. I really want that like one that's like super good too, the golden
Yeah.
one. And sometimes I miss out on those, but yeah, it's very unpredictable. You never know who's going to be on and stuff. So
I'm also a big fan of your food content, like
Oh,
your
thank
Korean
you.
snack one recently.
yeah, I've been like kind of, I don't know, I like food. So I kind of want to get more into that. I've been like doing like challenges where I like try like one food color for a day and stuff, and getting into like transformation videos where I transform into like preppy and stuff. I have like a new one coming out like that, and trying to like do a handful of different type of content now. Maybe a little more commentary as well on some people and stuff, just to give my perspective. So trying to figure out what my theme is, maybe just multiple things, but you know.
Doing the variety thing, like
Yeah.
I would love to have like a variety channel,
Yeah.
because I mean, no creator wants to kind of be stuck just doing one thing all the
Yeah.
time. But that is kind of what people want.
Come for. Yeah.
How do you look at that?
I mean, I'm just like, when I started watching YouTube, there was nothing like that. It was just like you post and people follow you because you're you, and you can do whatever because they come for you. It's not like that anymore. It doesn't feel like, at least. I can't really, I don't know. I think if I were to do one topic or something, I would get burnt out completely. And with just music content, like, or just Omegle videos, I'd be like, this is all I'm doing. That's why it's nice to be doing like my solo music, or what I started up with my friends recently called Ghost House, which is like another collective band thing we're doing. And all that type of stuff, or like with, you know, YouTube videos, like transformation videos, the food videos, all that type of stuff. I think I've never really been able to stick in a bubble. I don't prefer that. I think I would really hate my life, honestly, doing that. So I don't know.
It does remind me of old school YouTube, like what you do, you know, back when it was more personality driven.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's going to come back or not, but I wish it would, because it's like, even there's a lot of people that I like. Take someone like MKBHD. Like, I like him. He seems like a cool guy, but like, I don't want to just hear him talk about, you know, iPhones every time. Like, I would like him to do something interesting, because I just think he's a cool guy.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I think now if you want to thrive in YouTube and stuff, like, which is, I feel like people are running out of things for this. but downfall videos are really where it's at. And
fuck.
I'm a problem. I'm a problem with that, because whenever I'm doing a Twitch stream, I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm going to watch this guy's downfall. I'm going to watch this person that I used to love, and I'm going to watch how they spiraled into hell. Like, what the that's kind of fucked up. Like,
I hate those videos. I hate them.
they do better than anything, though.
100%.
4 million views
They
in a day.
definitely
So
do.
yeah, it's people love to hear about people they cared about and where they are now, or how they're not doing as well now. And it's like, it's really kind of messed up, because these are like real human beings. And I understand, though, because I click on it as well. So I can't hate on it too much, but it just seems really toxic at the end of the day. So
I don't like, I think it sucks that people have this urge to basically point and maybe not even laugh, but at least like gawk
yeah,
at someone's life going down in flames, even if they're an asshole.
yeah,
Like, there's usually a reason for it. Like all these Nickelodeon and Disney stars and stuff, like almost all of them had horrible things happen to them, all kinds of abuse and stuff.
yeah.
And not to say that we shouldn't talk about it, but it's like, it's, you know, everyone has the fucking thumbnail with like the graph going down.
Yeah,
know?
or and then like the enhanced photo of them. Yeah, I totally know.
Sucks.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's just where the platform currently is. I think that's one of the, I mean, podcasts do well as well for people and stuff. I think it's just like seeing the growth of, or the change in what people want to watch. People want to watch commentary. I feel like a lot of things that do well nowadays is talking about somebody that you used to care about almost too.
Yeah.
Is like, and I feel like that's really interesting, and I get it. But now people aren't really making as much real content, because like, I was watching a video of Chad Muska, the skateboarder, and he's just vlogging his life and stuff. And it's like, man, he would spend years just kind of going through life and stuff and showing it. But now no one does that, because they feel like they have to post every single day to maintain, you know, to pay for their house or whatever, or just to live, or to stay in the social atmosphere.
I mean, all I do is talk about other people, what things other people did 15 years ago.
Yeah. No, and I
you know,
I totally get it. Yeah.
I would like to do something different, but like you said, that's what pays the bills.
That's what pays the bills. And that's just where is at. And I hope it eventually kind of becomes like a little more, I don't know, open to people like making videos on themselves again. I think that'd be nice, because I think people are going to really run out of things to talk about. And I think people already kind of are in the whole YouTube world, because even when I've thought about doing commentary videos, I'm like, yeah, but this guy already did it so well. Like,
right.
Like, what am I supposed to say? So,
yeah, I feel like basically the way it works is there's a very small number of people who actually do things with their lives. And then the rest of us talk about them.
Yes, absolutely.
We all live off of their scraps.
I mean, people
I'm one of those people.
Yeah, people are still talking about Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez to this day. So what can you say, man? It's like, people cannot let go of the past. And I think I'm a little to blame for that too, because I'm a little bit like that as well. But it's I don't know. I don't know where it's going. We're all just kind of watching it evolve. That's just how life goes, I guess. So
I just want to take this moment to thank Ronnie Radke, MGK, and Corey Taylor
for keeping the world interesting,
for giving me a reason to make videos and buying diapers for my son.
Absolutely. I mean, as much as people hate on those people, they are entertainers 100%. So, you know, I can't really knock it too hard in that atmosphere. So,
yeah. Well, you've talked about mental health a few times here, and I think you've been pretty open about dealing with some of that stuff, which I do too.
Absolutely.
How are you doing these days?
I'm trying. I just kind of have been like pushing myself to try to do more with my life than I was like last year or so. And I am trying to keep it going. I mean, there's moments like, I think one of the biggest things I beat myself up for is just like, oh, you're not doing as well relevancy wise on the internet, which is an extremely toxic thing. But I think we all kind of deal with that, because even if we're doing super well now, it's so analytical.
Because other people would be like, what are you talking about? Johnny has 1 million subscribers.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, yeah, but someone else has 2 million.
Yeah.
And they get more views and this and that.
Absolutely. Or you'll be like, oh, I'm doing really well. And then someone will be like, well, this streamer gets 70 million viewers like at once. Yeah. It's like, okay, cool. Yeah, I've just been kind of trying to, I don't know, take care of myself and keep pushing, because otherwise, like, you can just fall into that trap of being stuck. And I'm sure at one point I'll fall into it again because it's just how humans work. But yeah, I've definitely always dealt with like the anxiety and depression thing and being my own worst critic. And I'm just kind of always trying to learn how to balance it, I guess. And for a while I was taking medication and then I just randomly stopped, but I've been okay ever since that.
Why'd you stop?
Laziness. I got off tour. To be honest, I got off. I did a tour with Say We Could Fly last year, and I just kind of randomly got lazy with it, to be quite honest. And then it was to the point where I'm like, okay, well now I haven't taken it for like 2 weeks, so I guess I'm just off it. Unless if I want to start it up again. So it was just more so like anxiety pills and stuff like that, just to try to help. And I always question as well with that type of stuff. I'm like, am I like better because I'm like living through it? I'm like, I always second guess myself. So yeah, I've been kind of doing everything cold turkey though, just being a normal dude. And it's been going okay though. I think I moved back to LA and I've been around friends and I've been having them help me like try to get back into the social media game and really go at it and trying to be in, I don't know, live the LA experience. Cause I've been out here before, but I never really lived it. I didn't go out and all that stuff. So I've been trying to do that a little better, but keep it balanced.
I wouldn't say that the LA entertainment influencer kind of scene is necessarily the healthiest group of people.
No,
with the best mental health.
No, it's not. It's never, yeah.
Do you, is there any part of you that worries about that or? How
Absolutely.
Do you think about that?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I was super worried about moving back, but the reason why I mainly wanted to do it, I guess, is just because I found a group of friends that I really felt inspiration with working with and doing content with. And I know, they got a lot of friends here as well, so they didn't really want to leave the area anyway. So I was like, okay, but the problem with, I don't know. I mean, I'm definitely trying to just, I guess, make more of it this time because I lived out here for a couple of years and stuff, and I just didn't leave my apartment or my house at all. So I'm trying to find like a good balance of living here and taking care of myself and giving me my own time while also, going out and also experiencing why I'm in LA and all that stuff and around these people. So,
yeah, I mean, if you want to collaborate with people and you actually take advantage of it, no better place on earth than LA for that.
Yeah, it's like, it's got benefits, but it's also extremely, I don't know, grimy. So what can you say?
The traffic is so fucking bad that you don't want to leave the house.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So I've just been trying to experience it and I'm feeling it out. I got like a year lease and I'm just kind of seeing where it goes and seeing how I feel by the end of it. And it's all been good so far. I've been here for like a month and a half and it's been good. And because of it, I've been able to do some opportunities that I wouldn't have. Like I got to act in the Somerset's music video for the new one. That was really nice. Got to wear a suit. And it's about like actually taking those opportunities and doing it, because back when I was here and stuff, I did not have the confidence or anything or the energy to do that stuff. So I'm just trying to live it up a little bit and meet people. I guess that's the whole point of being here. So.
Yep. Well, I don't remember if it was part of the Somerset thing or what, but I saw you got to be in the same room as Amaranth.
Oh,
I thought, please tell me that you got her to autograph one of her fart jars.
No, I didn't, unfortunately.
You motherfucker.
No, there's I got to know Amaranth because of like her team. Like they're we've been working on this like kind of like I Set My Friends on Fire kind of like song. I don't know if I'm even supposed to announce it, but I don't think it matters that much. Like in that sense.
Oh, so she's doing music.
We're doing like a joke kind of like real song that's actually catchy, but it's like a joke still. And it's I have it all written and stuff, but I'm pretty much right now I'm trying to do my vocals on it and it's just so fucking high for me. So I'm just trying to nail those. That's actually what I'm going to do after this is try to get those to her and stuff. But
so
yeah, supposedly
you're saying you can get me an autograph fart jar.
Probably. Yeah. I don't know how I'd go about it, but I probably could. But yeah, that was a wild experience. Like her team invited me to go and I was like already out here and I was like, okay, I can't miss out. And then we could like actually meet. So yeah, it was crazy. There was like XQC there from Twitch and I got to meet him and all I don't know, just a lot of Twitch streamers. It was cool. It was interesting. It was interesting. I've never been around that many girls in bikinis in my life. So that was kind of scary, but I try to keep eye contact.
Yeah, exactly. Just eyes locked at all times.
Yeah.
Stand as close as possible.
Yeah.
So they know you're paying attention. That's
the whole
my
thing.
move.
The whole thing was live streamed as well. The whole event too on like her Twitch channel. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So like when people would see me talking to people, they'd be like, "Why is that guy fucking shaking next to this girl?" I'm like, sorry, I don't leave. But yeah, no, it was a great experience though. Everyone was really cool, and that's how that all came about. So hopefully we'll get the song out and stuff. It seems like, I don't know, it's really funny and stuff, and actually really catchy and stuff. And I think she'll be doing vocals on it as well. So
nice.
We'll see.
Well, that's kind of stuff, that not to say it can't happen if you live somewhere else.
Yeah.
But it's a lot easier for that to happen if you're in LA.
Yeah, I mean the whole song thing was already coming about when I was back home, but the event and stuff and going and meeting those people, that is something that just happened because I was out in that area. So that was something I needed to take advantage of to actually like experience life. So I was like, I can't miss out on that. I would beat myself up for it. So yeah, it was interesting.
It was also cool that you were in the Somerset video, which I actually didn't know about that until I saw you talking about it.
Yeah. It was cool. There's a girl that was in it as well that just had like her song on like the Scream soundtrack with Mike Shinoda. They're both like doing that song together. I think her name's Kaylee. But yeah, it was cool. I'm playing like we're like working the same job, and I'm playing the X or whatever, and we're like kind of battling, and it's kind of got like a Quentin Tarantino vibe to it a little bit.
Is that out yet?
Yeah, the video just came out probably like 4 days ago or something.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, I've been listening to the Somerset like for years, since like probably like 2015 or so. And they were on some of the Warped tours and stuff. And they asked me to be a part of it. And I was like, sure, I want to be doing stuff like that. So, it was cool. Got to yell at people.
I got Jess from the Somerset to autograph a hat once many years ago on Warped Tour.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it was not a Somerset hat. It was just whatever hat I happened to be wearing.
Just a random like Vans hat or some shit. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. She wasn't very interested in chatting with me, but she seemed to be interested in talking to my wife.
Oh, well, so be it.
Yeah,
But
I'll take it. It's all right.
Hey, that's cool. But yeah, no, they were all really nice. It was cool. I don't know. It's cool to be. I want to get into like acting like that and stuff like that. I mean, that was like I didn't have any like actual dialogue, but the whole like experience of like being the main character in a music video or something was definitely cool, especially since it's not my own or something. And that was cool. So it's always fun to do stuff like that. And I want to get more into that. So.
Well, you're in the right place for it. And it's amazing, that you're only 25, right?
Yeah. But I feel like I'm at that point. I don't know. I see other people now and stuff, and I'm like, like, I don't know. Did I peak at 18? You know what I mean? But I'm still trying. That's like what I always try to keep in mind is like, you only really lose when you fully give up. And even if you have moments like that, like as long as you get back into it eventually, sooner the better, then that's a W in a lot of ways, as the kids would say.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I mean, I would feel like my life didn't really come together until I was 34.
Okay, so I got some time.
Yeah, but if you're a day over 34 and you don't have your life figured out, game over.
All right, I'll make like a big like post-it board with that right now and put it above my bed. So
set a timer now, and on your 34th birthday, you got to delete yourself if you don't have things figured out. Yeah,
it's interesting too, because like we were bringing up Never Shout Never and stuff, and I'm like, I've thought about like, will he come back with music or anything like that? Because a lot of us would love to see, especially with like When We Were Young Fest and emo nights. It's like perfect for that guy to come back. And I looked at it and I'm like, oh my God, he's only like 32 or 31. I'm like, he's totally good. He's not even like, he's not an old dude at all. Like it's interesting how young these people are. But like when I think about myself, I'm like, oh, like I feel old, but that's just because I'm myself, and that's growing up and all that stuff, I guess.
Yeah. Well, another thing I wanted to ask you about, which I meant to before, you mentioned Blood on the Dance Floor and all that, and how people like just sort of weren't aware of this stuff. And you tweeted something about Blood on the Dance Floor and Onision, and I don't remember who else it was.
I have stories.
And I was like, man, there was a lot of creepy stuff going on back then.
Yeah. What's interesting is I've hung out with a lot of people that have been called out, like, which actually I think taught me well on what not to be like. I mean, the first Warped Tour I did, the person that was on my bus was Front Porch Step. And
Ooh.
right after that, he got called out. And I'm not saying these people like were bad to me necessarily or anything, but it was things that I've taken and learned from it. And during that time, I was also hanging out with the YouTuber V1I, and he got called out after that as well. I hung out with Ghost Town on Bryan Stars tour, and they got called out. It's like, and then I met Joel from Get Scared, like quite a lot, and same thing. And it's just like, yeah, with Blow on the Dance Floor and stuff like that, or like Austin Jones was in Might As Well Escape, and that was a massive one to, be in a collab channel with somebody that literally goes to jail, and that was on the news. Like my grandparents were saying that. It's like, oh my God. To be
fair, my understanding, he wasn't like a big part of it, right?
No, so he was in the beginning of the channel when we first started it. I only talked to him like twice, and it was him just messaging me, "Hey, can you promote my cover?" Yeah. So it was really douchey and annoying.
But there was a lot of creepy stuff going on back then that, I wonder if like parents weren't, and the media just didn't care enough to pay attention, or what it was.
Yeah, I think it was normalized, unfortunately, in a lot of ways. Like I don't think people really, one, people didn't have the voices they have now with just social media and anyone be able to, say anything, which in some ways is great. And then obviously in some ways people can just say like, I met Johnny, he's a fucking dick. And it's like, okay, how can you defend yourself from that? But with that type of stuff, I think the whole, like, I don't know, I was a big fan of Blow on the Dance Floor back in the day too and stuff. And that was a big one to see their controversies like actually get more concrete and everything, and just like realizing, oh man, that is really gross. I don't know where I was getting at with all of it, but yeah, it's pretty toxic. But I don't think it's just something that lies in the alternative emo scene, and I hate that people paint it out that way. Unfortunately, I think it's in all of society, and it's not okay, and it sucks. But it's not just a social media thing, I don't think, and maybe it has, you hear about it probably more because those people have some form of relevancy, I guess, that people know about them more. But unfortunately, it's something gross that I think happens in all of society, whether it's just, going to Walmart and meeting. So like it could be anybody being a creep.
I think at that time, especially, the fan base was so young and so female at the time that it was just sort of like a bad set of circumstances that enabled bad people to get away with stuff. Yeah. Whereas now the fan base is not as young and not as naive, and there's I don't know what 8th grade girls are into now because I don't hang out with them, but
fair.
But they're not into that kind of music anymore. So I feel like it was just sort of like I don't know, a bad set of circumstances that doesn't exist anymore. Plus, I think also in the alternative music scene, when it does get called out, I think people take it seriously. Whereas, I would imagine rappers do the most foul shit, but nobody cares.
I've heard some stories. Yeah. I think that's completely valid and true. And the list goes on. And it's I've seen some people be like kind of weird with girls, like I mean, like, it sucks to see and stuff. And it made me kind of realize like, okay, that's like, I mean, that's always been something that's the people I grew up watching, just the message they always put out was the total opposite of that type of stuff. Yeah. So I think that really influenced me to not be like that. But I guess just seeing people get called out for that stuff and everything, and just like, we would have meetings on Warped Tour about Austin Jones being on it and stuff, like, should he be on it? And it's like, no, like, even if it's just asking,
if you have to have this meeting, the answer is no.
Even if it's just asking for twerking videos, of course not. Or like the Front Porch stuff, there would be meetings. And it's like me at 16, 17 years old on Warped Tour, like talking about these people that I was kind of like in the same atmosphere of. It was so weird, but it also just taught me like, okay, this is like obviously just like, I don't know, it just made me like focus on like that type of shit that happens, unfortunately. But
it's also totally unfair and inappropriate to like ask a 17-year-old the question of, should this person be on the tour?
It wasn't really, it was a whole like group of the Warped Tour. Like it was like everyone would be involved that was on Warped Tour.
Yeah, I get it. But like a lot of them are like young people. It's like, it's on the leadership, the people running the tour, to make that decision. You don't like kick that down to a bunch of people in their late teens and early 20s.
Yeah, there was even like a meeting about Johnny Craig with that stuff too. And it's
I remember
always
all
like
that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was there for that. And it's like, I was very young, and it's just, it was very interesting. But I could see, I think it's like trying to let like people be like, oh, well, I want people to better themselves and stuff. But sometimes when it comes
Yeah.
to situations like that where people are vulnerable and stuff, you just cannot allow it, even if people are still allowed to grow, which everyone always is hopefully growing in some way and bettering themselves.
But
You
they don't need
can't.
to grow on this tour right now.
Absolutely. And I think that's a perfect example. Is unfortunately, like sometimes when you do bad things, you lose opportunities, you lose respect, and that's your consequences. That's what you deserve honestly. So that's how
Yeah,
I see it. So
I agree. Cool. Well, I appreciate your time. I will let you
absolutely.
go. And I will catch you. I'll catch
Thank
you on
you.
Instagram.